Alright, let's talk about Kill Blue Episode 1. Yo, what's up? Welcome back. Welcome if you're new. My name is Mark, and today, as I said, we're talking about Kill Blue Episode 1. If you would like to see my reaction to it, you can check it out on Patreon in the description down below. But yeah, with Episode 1, was honestly really good in that it gave me... It started out, at least the start really gave me Sakamoto Day vibes, which was really cool to see. Because it was like a mix of Sakamoto Days and like, I can't think of something else right now, but it definitely gave me Sakamoto Day vibes. But with this one, we follow Juzo. That's his name. We didn't learn that until a little later, but his name is Juzo. He's an old, like, he's been around for a long time as a hitman, and he's really good, but he has like a rule where he only goes after the irredeemables. The people that are like, I guess probably like they can't be redeemed at all. Hence the name Irredeemables. But we follow him doing his thing. He works with someone else as well, whose name escapes me at the moment. And he's like really good. And one thing leads to another. And he gets stung by a wasp and then passes out. And when he wakes up in the body of a middle schooler. His body as a child, I think. And I like his hair. His hair looked pretty cool. But he woke up as like his younger middle school self. And he's sent to middle school as a job. But before all that happens, though, we learned a few things about him actually. One, he has an ex-wife and a daughter. He pays child support. He has a mortgage, and I'm pretty sure he also has a car to pay off. Something like that. Like he's leading like a middle-aged man's life, or a middle-aged person in general's life in that regard, minus the hitman stuff. And it's really funny how like normal it sounds when you realize what he does for a living. But then also the person that he woke up in a scientist's lab, scientist's room, whatever, and the scientist in question is a genius, and it's his ex-wife. And it's really funny how, I said this during the reaction actually, I am glad that they at least seem mostly amicable, which is a good thing. Because, like, the fact that they are exes, it could have been bad, like, ended badly, but it appears at least they get along enough, which is fine, which is what I like to see. It's nice to see. And so the boss calls, and even the boss can't believe that Juzo became a kid. But Juzo's ready to get back to work, and he does, except the boss is like, yo, I got a job for you, and I want you to go to a middle school that I'm going to send my daughter to, and investigate it. Make sure it's a good place. He's using him as a glorified middle school scout. At least that's what it seems like on the surface. There could be more to it, but I'm not certain of that. I also should mention that I went into this episode 1 with a little bit of knowledge, because I did read the first 5 to 10 chapters of the manga, I think probably over a year ago at this point. And so I was like, I remembered some stuff. I remembered the wasp stinging him and turning him into a kid, but that was actually about it for the most part. And so, that aside, we then get to see him actually go into the middle school. He's wearing these glasses that act as like a camera and a microphone, and he's helped by his assistant. I actually don't know what his actual job is, but he's like a zoomer, as Juzo calls him. And the zoomer tries to help Juzo get through interacting with kids. Because Juzo, he mentioned that he's never gotten along with kids, things like that, despite having a daughter. And like, it's kind of awkward at the beginning when he first is introduced to the class, man. Like, kind of awkward. And then he gets... when he starts talking about his hobbies, he mentions sniping, and it's just funny. Like, of all the hobbies he could have mentioned, sniping is like the last one. But then he covers it up by saying in the games and stuff like that. So like, yeah, but now he's like isolated a little bit more. And I think what's interesting about this episode, or at least about the situation, is it's very interesting to see how out of his element he is. Because from what we learn, he was like a young age, started being trained to be a hitman. And that's what he did for like 40, 50 years, however old he is. And I thought it was interesting how good at what he's good at what he does, but he's not good at a lot of other things, at least in this regard. And so it was interesting to see him how out of his element he was. Seeing him maybe stutter a little bit and just being uncertain. Because it's always interesting to see like how someone so calm and composed can be rendered uncertain about something. But with that aside, we then get to see him. I'm trying to remember the exact like names of stuff. We get to see him start to learn, but then what really stands out, at least from what I've seen, from what we saw of the episode at least, is when he starts to study, he really enjoys it. He starts to learn that he really enjoys studying, which was really cool to see, because he didn't study really, as far as I can tell, I guess. But once he started doing it with math, social studies, history, and all that, he started having fun. So much fun that he even finished his work early. Like his homework, he focused on it. Then he even did the next day's assignments later at night. Like he's locked in on studying, which is cool to see. It was kind of adorable, actually, to see just how excited he was getting at it. But it was also kind of sad if you think about it, in that something as simple as studying, he didn't really get to either do for something that wasn't killing. And like it was just nice to see him sort of build up to that and become like interested in it. And then one of the final scenes, and as I've mentioned probably in the last reaction review that I did, I am out of like place. I don't have notes that I've taken down for this, so I'm just going in order of what I remember. So it might be out of order, but anyways, one of the last scenes is a guy, I guess he's a flasher. He starts kicking people's ass, breaking into a middle school in his boxers, and then he corners two girls. These two girls were students that had pushed Jujutsu aside and just like laughed at him, called him an otaku, an edgy otaku, and like, yeah, he didn't do himself any favors with his introduction to the class. But they're like confronted by this flasher wearing a mask and like in his boxers, and the dude's about to flash, but then Juzo decides to do something when the guy talking to Juzo, like through the camera or whatever, was like, yo, you don't have to after what they did. But then Juzo brought up how he has a daughter their age, which that's going to be a conversation if they ever meet. Him and his daughter meeting. That's gonna be an episode of a lifetime, bro. But anyways, he mentions he's not petty enough to just leave them be when he can do something, and so he does something. He causes a distraction, pulls out a gun, and I'm not sure if it's a real gun or not, but he pulls out a gun and shoots the guy, or shoots at him, and no, he shoots the chalk that he had thrown, and it was just like, what the fuck? Why? Why did he have a gun? Because I get it, he's a hitman, but I don't understand the gun part. Why he had the gun on him? How do you get the gun past the metal detectors? At least I would assume they have metal detectors. I'm not sure actually. But anyways, he does that, and then to finish the guy off, kicks him in where the sun don't shine, and that's gotta hurt. But the guy had it coming. Definitely had it coming though. And after that, he stutters out "Oh, it wasn't me," because the two girls were like, "Oh, was that you saved us?" But then the guy's like, "No, it wasn't me," but walks away. And next day, sometime around the next day, they invite him to a group chat that the class had, because they were like, "Yo, we think we should thank you, and so you want to join our group chat?" And he ended up doing it. And I will say, something that was interesting to me is, I don't know if this is like a Japan thing specifically, but I have never heard of, at least here in America, or at least in the main schools I've been to, I've never heard of like a class having a group chat before. I didn't know that was a thing that they did. So I don't know if that's like it could just be an anime thing, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on that. But anyways, he's invited, and then at the end there, he's like, "Yo, what the fuck am I doing?" Because it's going so fast in the group chat. And one thing we also learned is the wasp was bioengineered by some company. It was not a real wasp. It was like bioengineered. Still not sure how the wasp turned him into a kid, but that's besides the point. And so we learned that. Then we learned something else, but I honestly just don't remember it because I watched the episode a few hours ago. My plan was actually to record this review immediately after, but I had stuff to do that I had to take care of first, so couldn't do that. So here we are. But the point is, it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it. I honestly did enjoy this a lot, and so I'm very excited to see where this goes because this is clearly going to probably be like, if I had to guess, based on how it went, it's probably going to be like comedy and action with more of a leaning towards comedy, which is cool. I like comedy when it's done well. And so far the comedy for this was done well. And this was honestly a really good episode. As I said, it brought up some questions about him as a character and about how things are going to go that I asked during the reaction. So you could check that out on the Patreon down below. And yeah, I don't have much else to say, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below on anything that I've said. Let me know how this sounds. Don't mention how it looks, because I'm using my phone as I mentioned before last time. And so, like, it's not going to look great. But I hope this at least sounds decent. But anyways, with that said, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I already said that. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ding the notification bell. Patreon's down below, of course. And so is my Discord, Twitter, all that jazz. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. So with that said, until next time, my name is Mark. Never stop being yourself. Stay safe there. And I will see all you incredible people in the next video.